Do you know who, like, Laura Loomer is?
Yeah, the Goblin. Yes, I know who she
You
is.
know Trump is probably dating her now?
No.
Yeah. She hopped off Air Force One
He
before
could
the. I
anyone. Why
know, I
her?
know. Yeah,
No.
no, yeah. He's
No.
likely dating her now. I won't say almost. He's like over 51% chance. He's likely dating her now. The fact that she's in his orbit is insane as she is. Like, all of these people are crazy. It is wild. And also, when I have these,
Wait, I can't get over this. Why would he be dating Laura Loomer?
she's
Can't
an
he date like
insane
anyone?
because Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Okay, these people, Kamala Harris said in her debate, she really needs to lean on this more. Maybe she's not even aware of it. I don't know how many people are aware of this. There are some men that if you tell them what they want to hear, they will give you anything. And they're men with fragile egos are like this. Elon Musk and Donald Trump are like this. If you hurt their feelings, they will define themselves in opposition to you for the rest of their lives. And if you tell them what they want to hear, they will love you and shower you with praise and gifts and whatever the fuck for the rest of their lives. Like, that's how these people function. And yeah.
Wait, isn't he married though?
Melania hasn't been present for almost any of his life. Like, she didn't go to either of the debates. She's not anywhere like to be seen with him. She is doing her own thing. I think the kind of this is a little more conspiratorial, but like, people are saying they're basically already broken up. But I mean, like, it seems pretty.
I know he's had extramarital relations, but it just like they're like dating.
Good evening from New York.
I mean, here, you can watch this, and if you want, you can dive down this ladder, but.
Oh yeah, I found some pictures of him with his arm around her.
Yeah, and then like them appearing together and her like standing in front of him with her, her chest pressed up to him, and then her coming off Air Force One for debate prep. Laura Loomer, really?
Maybe she's where all the Twitter stuff was coming from. I haven't really. I got to look into this at some point. I got to look into this like whole cats being eaten or whatever thing, but. When the debate moderators, David Muir or whatever, he was like, there's no evidence of that. And Trump's like, I saw it on the TV.
Yeah.
I thought that was so funny. But maybe, a lot of that stuff is coming from Twitter because it does seem to be like a lot of Trump's talking points were like stuff I saw on Twitter last week. So maybe she's part of feeding that to him.
I don't know if we listened to this in the, I think he said it in the Raffensperger call, the call that he made to the Georgia Secretary of State, where the Georgia Secretary of State said something like, I don't know if you guys are getting this off social media, but it's not true. And then Trump says, I'm not getting this off of social media. This is coming from Trump media.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I think
so
that was in the J6 manifesto thing you did. Yeah, it's.
Just one thing I wanted to say
ridiculous.
before, though, right? Because so much of the conversations are the debates that I have. Like, people ask, like, what are your good debates? And I'm like, all of them are basically trash. It's because I'm not really debating anything of substance. I'm fighting people to get them to acknowledge like a very basic, fundamental, not even fundamental, but like a very obviously true thing. And they won't even acknowledge that. And that's where the whole conversation is around, right? When people say, okay, so I do political work, okay? And my politics and the things that I believe in are really important to me, okay? And I feel like if politics and things you're talking about are important to you, you should be aware of who you might be towing the line for, of whose political opinions you might be inadvertently spreading, especially if you've got some experience here. So, for instance, you're aware of Israel and Palestine. You've heard of those things, right?
I know there's some guys fighting over.
There's some guys fighting over there, okay?
Thing.
Yeah. I feel very strongly about Israel-Palestine, but I'm very mindful of when somebody might think I am pushing their agenda. And if I'm ever aware of that, I'm obviously pushing back against it. And not pushing back against it like, oh, guys, just so you know, LOL, Israel's not telling me what to say, LOL. There was a guy called Elon Levy, and he wanted me to go on his podcast because when we were driving to a Nas Daily event in northern Israel, he was really excited because I was giving a lot of pushback against Palestinians. So I'm like, yeah, I think the Palestinian narrative is insane, and he was like agreeing with this and vibing with me. And when he brought me on this podcast, I very quickly realized, oh, this is like a propaganda piece for Israel. And so the entire show was me fighting with him because I'm not going to sit here and be used as some propaganda tool for you. I'm never ever doing that unless our views like legitimately align 100%. That's never happening. So at the very least, if I were to find out that like, oh, that kick deal that you got came from the fucking Mossad or some shit, you better believe I'm going to be looking back through my talking where it's like, hold on, what the fuck is going on here? Like, am I like getting mind fucked or something? But for somebody to just say like, oh yeah, who cares? I don't know anything about that. Don't care. Doesn't matter. Whatever. And then you just walk away from it. It's like, wait, you're not even curious? I feel like that is very telling of a person's state of mind, in my opinion.
Right. So a few arguments I'm curious about related to this because
Hmm.
you'll see. I've been scrolling through social media when researching this stuff. There's like two main arguments I see. One is more legitimate. One as I'm not really sure. The first one is going to be around obviously APAC and stuff like that, and like, oh well, what about people getting funding from Israel and the Israeli lobby and stuff like that?
Hmm.
How do you feel about those kinds of arguments? Are you on the side of it's fine because they're disclosing it publicly, because there's records publicly, you can see they were donated to by APAC? How do you feel about that kind of thing?
So there's two major underlying points that have to be dealt with. One, boring civics. So in I'm giving you this as an opinion. I'm pretty sure it's true, but nobody's going to agree with this. And if you talk to anybody, they're going to say I'm crazy. Okay, but I don't think that lobbyists have a heavy impact on how politicians think. I think that lobbyists tend to find politicians that already mostly align with them. I don't think that a lobbyist is going to go to a politician and be like, oh, this guy is probably going to win his election, but he's 180 our opinion. Let's dump like $10 million into his campaign to make him like us, right? It's more so what lobbyists are doing is they're identifying close races, and then they're looking at a guy who mostly aligns with their stuff, and then they go to him and they're like, hey, listen, like the shit that we promote is actually really good. You should also promote it, and we're going to donate to your campaign, and blah, blah, like this kind of stuff, right? So that being said, Israel is, for as much as people might hate it, and the younger communities, is universally loved among older people in the United States. Israel is very popular. Their story, democracy, Middle East, whatever, like people just like that shit. Okay, so Israel's already really popular. AIPAC supports like a decent number of politicians that are already popular anyway. They win their elections. That's important to understand because people will constantly cite this number of like AIPAC supported politicians win 93% of their elections, and the impression that it gives to a listener is like, holy shit, they're massively influential in flipping like seats or flipping elections. It's just not true. Number one, and then number two,
Okay.
Israel is it's the American Israel Political Action Committee or whatever. It's Israel. It's in the name, right? You're allowed to make these for anything. If you want to make a political action committee to support Russian interests or Ukrainian interests or communist interests, or whatever, you're allowed to do that in the United States. That's fine, as long as you publicly
So
disclose it
is the
and everybody
problem
knows it.
to you less about them receiving money in terms of the RT stuff, or is it just because it wasn't disclosed,
Well,
or is
it's
it both?
yeah, it's
Because
two things. It's one.
simultaneously you disagree with the political sentiment
Well,
being
it's
expressed.
yeah, it's two things. One is I don't believe Israel does Israel, or I'm sorry, does APAC make any foreign declarations? Because I don't think APAC takes any foreign money or anything like that or foreign direction. They just are aligned with Israeli interests because it's the American Israeli
Do
lobby.
they get where do they get their money then? Is it like American Jews?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
And then, yeah, for the Russian stuff, so it's a matter of one is a matter of disclosure, but two, APAC is just not the same type of thing at all. It's totally different. It's not a foreign directed, foreign funded thing, so they have no disclosure, and they announced it in the name. So the disclosure is different, and the foreign funding and foreign direction is not there.
So let's say Tim Pool and all these people were being paid by Russia PAC or something like that, and
Hmm.
it wasn't foreign money. It was like Russian businessmen in the United States who like Russia, and they were funding them, and it was publicly disclosed. Would you say that there's not a lot of criticism to be made there about them if it is publicly disclosed?
I'd make a ton of criticism about them, but it would be on their political opinions. At least it would be in the open, and I think that would be so much healthier. It would be way better for the discourse. It's like what I said before about like quote unquote doxing people, but just like making people's at least nationalities known. I think that having that information available at your fingertips is important. Because like imagine you're in a political environment and there's 20 people here, and 10 people are saying we need to stop all immigration, and 10 people are saying we should let more immigrants in, and you find out that like of the 10 people saying we need to stop all immigration, like 8 of them are Russian. You would look at that situation. You'd view the conversation a lot differently, right?
Right, that would make sense.
Or
Now,
to be
I
generous
think
to the Nazi side or whatever, right? Let's say that this is the same conversation. You see 10 people like, we need more immigrants, 10 are saying we need less. One of the less guy, or one of the we need less immigrants guys is Russian, and like 9 of the we need more immigrants guys is funded by Israel, right? Because the Jews want more immigration, right? Then you look at that differently, right? That's to be fair to both sides, but yeah.
so. I think another follow-up argument that I've heard a lot, which I think this one is a valid thing to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Let me think about how to phrase this. How do you feel about the United States in the past and maybe in the present? Who knows what's going on? Interfering in other countries' elections and expanding their own economic interests through the CIA to spread propaganda and topple governments. How do you feel about that?
There's two huge points. Well, with one huge point, okay? American foreign policy has dramatically changed since the fall of the Soviet Union. So usually the go-to for criticizing American foreign policy, people are going to bring up stuff we did like in South America during the Cold War. Whether you want
Yeah.
to criticize us or not, it's a meaningfully different era. So I don't think it's fair to point to that and look at the modern American foreign policy.
Well, I think the natural argument would be like, well, at the time, we didn't even know that they were doing it. We only found out recently, as far as like, releases from the government and, documents and stuff like that, FOIA requests. We only found out about that recently. So who knows what they could be doing right now?
To be fair, I'm not ultra well studied in Cold War stuff as well as I am with other things since I've been on Vyvanse. So I'm giving you this I'm hedging this take, but my guess is going to be everybody around the world knew that the United States and the Soviet Union were hardcore meddling with and with other countries. Maybe there wasn't 100% proof, but like everybody just it was the Cold War.
Well, people in the United States didn't know. We weren't having big conversations about it.
I don't know. I don't have enough. I'm gonna.
I mean, they were classified documents. I mean,
they might have been classified. They might have been classified, but I'm saying that people probably had an understanding that, like, generally speaking, that it was going on. I think everybody. Like containment was the policy of, fighting against communism, right? Like Vietnam, like Korea, we fought actual wars over it, and then go ahead.
I could be wrong, but I would hedge my bets on the idea that the general public in the United States did not know that the U.S. government was using the CIA to topple governments for the purpose of furthering like the interests of like the United Fruit Company or whatever, for example.
Sure. Okay, yeah, maybe. I mean, that'd be my guess, but. Regardless, post 91, our foreign policy is significantly different in terms of how we approach the world.
I appreciate that, Destiny.
All right, bye.
Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.